This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Eddie Hearn over Zoom. Eddie, it's good to see you as always. You're back, you're in Monaco, and you've got a show there. Yeah, what an unbelievable event to take to Monaco.
Yeah, I think that it's always fun here. I think the team, the fighters, it's one of their favourite weeks of the year. But what we have this week is actually a card that would be a phenomenal fight card in the UK or anywhere in the world. By far the strongest card we've had top to bottom here before. Two brilliant domestic fights, a fantastic world championship fight as well. A great fight between one of Monaco's sort of biggest stars and Sean McComb, the return of the Romford Bull, Johnny Fisher. It's got everything. And what's really nice about it is there's a lot of travelling fans. So Johnny Fisher's brought 100, Shabazz Massoud's brought nearly 100, Conor Walker, Pat McCormack, McGrail. There's a lot of the UK descended upon the Principality this Saturday, and it'll be lively in there. They might not. I don't think they know what's coming, to be fair, but it's going to be lively.
Is the dress code remaining the same?
Do you know what? The dress code is actually, I got an email today from Prince Albert's office to say that it suits and ties rather than black tie, which I was a bit devastated about because I had the black tie, pressed and cleaned. So, yeah, just a standard, but you don't have to. For people coming, the crowd, you don't have to wear a suit to get in. I think sometimes the perception is it's everyone's got to wear a black tie. It's not the case. So, yeah, it's the events moved. It moved last year from the casino to Salle d'Etoile, which holds like 700 or 800, whereas the casino just used to hold like 100. It was it was a unique environment, but this is a much better arena actually. It actually brings a great atmosphere and kind of overlooks the coast. It's a special fight week.
Just on Masood McGrail, Eddie, it's obviously a fantastic fight to make in-house, two matchroom fighters. How do you see that unfolding? Is it just going to be a battle of the technicians?
Yeah, really. I mean, two guys. I mean, we say battle of detections, but both guys are pretty aggressive. I mean, you've seen in McGrail's professional career, I mean, to his detriment, in his one beat, which when it was a fight that he was completely controlling, he is very, very aggressive. I think Masood is a fantastic boxer. We saw that in the Liam Davis fight. Obviously, he's been out for a long period of time now. This was a fight that was supposed to happen earlier in the year. He was out with an injury, and he doesn't come into this with a lot of momentum in terms of activity. So I think it's a true 50-50 matchup. Two of the best super bantams in the world, to be obviously two Brits as well. And yeah, brilliant matchup.
Obviously, Eddie, this past weekend we saw Ben Whittaker kind of get that highlight real knockout once again. We touched on it after the fight. Since then, a couple of things to touch on. We've got the WBC convention going on. Joshua Buatsi, Ben Whittaker ordered in a final eliminator. Eddie, your initial reaction to that, and is it a fight you will pursue and try and get a deal done for?
Yeah, it was very quick. We only won on Saturday, so I think when you win the WBC silver, obviously it puts you in a great position in the rankings. I think Ben went in at 3 or something like that, which is very lofty after the Gavazzi win. I mean, Gavazzi was a solid fighter, but not really a true world-class opponent. So we like the Boxing fight. I mean, I've been quite clear with what we need to do on the development, and that is a fight that I really felt like would be coming kind of half two of 2026. But we've already agreed to fight in America in around March time. So we'll be going to Ben and saying, look, that could be an opportunity for the summer if we feel like the time is right. And it's a big fight, and I've always been quite clear about those kind of three phases of the 175-pound division. Bivol, Beterbiev, and Benavidez, and then Yard, Callum, Boatsi, and then Richards, Aziz. And if we took that Boatsi fight, we would be kind of jumping over that other level that we're expecting to go through. But yeah, America will be next for Ben, and then we don't have an issue in chatting with him, and it is a fight that will absolutely happen. Whether it happens in the summer or the autumn, I don't know. But America next, and then we want a big domestic fight in the summer for sure.
I know Ben and Josh in the past, and from those GB days, they've shared plenty around sparring together. And kind of there's some question marks now over Josh Buatsi on the back of obviously the tough fight with Callum, a questionable win against Zach Parker. Do you feel like that maybe the timing could be right, especially if you maybe waited till the
Maybe,
summertime?
yeah, I think it's a good point. I think it's a good point. Buatsi still a very good fighter, and he's very, very tough as well. Um, and like I said, it is a fight. So it's probably, well, it's definitely been ordered much sooner than we anticipated, coming off the, like to go from Gavazzi to Buatsi is quite an interesting jump. But listen, that's boxing. And as I said, I made it clear in the ring that we want to make Ben a global superstar, and we'll do that by boxing him internationally. So that's already been part of the plan. In fact, in his contract, it's a US fight next, and that's what will be happening. And hopefully, after that, I don't see why, that's not a fight that we should be pursuing.
Just one more on Ben, Eddie. I'm sure you've seen Jose Benavidez Senior talking up that fight as
I
well
know.
recently.
Yeah. Well, that's
I
a whole
mean,
nother level. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, like, I think what's kind of not saved me, but I was very upfront with the route that we want to go on and the levels that we have to go through. And I've said before, Benavidez, Bivol, those guys are, well beyond the level that we're fighting at yet. And we need, I said, I think 3, 4, 5 fights before we're fighting a Bivol, better be a Benavidez. But if those guys are world champion, when Ben's had another 3 or 4 fights, so be it. You know, one thing we know is the numbers on the zone were huge. The social numbers, and we have all comparisons, from across other shows that weekend, and just the numbers from Whittaker were mind blowing. We've never seen anything like it. So we've got a real gem here, but we've also got a great fighter. But and that's why I've kept it pretty honest about the Gavazzi win. Good solid win against a tough German, but miles off the pace in terms of the world level fighters, and that's got to be the route now. We've got to keep stepping him up. We can't stay stale and just fight at that level because it's not going to do him any favors. He's putting the work in with Andy Lee. He's becoming a more rounded fighter. You've got to have those experiences in the ring that really show the quality of the fighter and the work that's been put in.
just one more at light heavy. You mentioned Dmitry Bivol. I know you've recently met up with him and with Vadim Kornilov. What's the latest with him, and what is the comeback fight? Is it better Biev? I know Benavidez is talking about Zerdo. So where else with Dmitry?
I think, to be honest, I think the first fight back may be a smaller fight. Maybe one of his mandatory defenses. He's got quite a few of them. I mean, one is Callum Smith, one is Michael Effort. WBA, I think, have a mandatory as well. He would have been out of the ring. He won't fight before March. So he would have been out of the ring for a year and would have had a couple of operations, one to his back, which was quite a serious operation. So the good thing about when I met Dmitry pre-operation, he was quite not down in the dumps, but he was, the injuries were kind of getting on top of him. And when we were talking about his future, he was kind of saying, um, I just want big fights. I just want the big fights. And now he's had the operation, he's recovered, he's excited to fight again. I think he feels like he has a much longer future than maybe he did when he was feeling like shit with his injuries. So right now, he's more motivated to actually get back in the ring and get some momentum again. I think Beterbiev, Benavidez, all these guys, they're absolute 100% must make fights. It's just whether he has that one fight when he returns before a big fight in the summer.
Down at 47 at Eddie, and going back to that convention, Conor Benn placed as the mandatory challenger to the winner of Garcia Barrios. That must be music to our ears. And is a kind of a time frame in mind as to when you'd like to try and get that one done.
Yeah, I mean that's Connor. Connor has an absolute fatuation with the WBC title. I mean, so much so that I liked the Lewis Crocker fight and I liked the Rolly Romero fight, and he's just like, I just want to fight for the WBC. I'm like, I know, but you might not fight for the WBC till May or June. I will wait till May or June to fight for the WBC title. The the confirmation of his mandatory position is definitely music to our ears because Terry Shea said to myself and Connor that he would be interested in making the Ryan Garcia Conor Benn fight in Cinco de Mayo in Las Vegas. But now that we've been called as the mandatory, there's kind of no escape. So we've got every week. And to be fair, I think Ryan Garcia, he's definitely up for fighting Conor Benn. And also, by the way, he's still got to beat Marios Barrios. I know he's had some indifferent performances, but he's still a decent fighter. So we're just sitting really pretty at the moment. The main thing now for Connor, as you'd expect, he's back in the gym, crushing it, etc. And he's just focused on getting himself down to 147 pounds. And that's the challenge. You know, that's definitely the focus now physically over the next sort of 6 weeks.
Smith Matias is going ahead, Eddie.
Mm, yeah. I mean, it's difficult because when I comment on these things, everyone's, oh, well, you said this and I don't want to contradict myself. And in this situation, you always have to rely on the commission. All right. And I've been here many times before. And when we had the incident previously, the commission took, I don't know, 6 weeks, 7 weeks to make a decision. And actually, it buggered everybody, right? It cost us seven figures. It passed. Here, strangely, the ruling from the New York Commission, and it's within their rules, it's not something that they made up, is that the levels of ostarine that are allowed in your system have to be zero point 0.1, I believe, or zero point 0.0 or whatever it is to to effectively call it a fail. Now, under the WADA code, I believe that any level of ostarine is regarded as a fail. And the reality is he failed his VADA test because he had that level of ostarine in him, and that's a fail under the WADA rules. So the commission are probably in quite a difficult position because they have a rule in place that actually I don't think really makes sense and maybe isn't in the best interests of boxing, but it's their rules. So they've kind of got him on a technicality. And I believe now the move from the commission will be, well, first of all, test the B sample. And now you're going to have all these different tests in addition to that over the period, which is nice. I mean, we part of the deal is we ensured that Matias was signing up to VADA, which ultimately got us in this position. Now there'll be even more testing again, which is very important in this situation. But you don't know what say damage has been done, or you just don't know. So and now Dalton Smith's kind of placed in the situation of, well, the fight's going ahead, and if the commission sanction it contractually, and I've said this before about previous fights, I mean, you can't just cancel the fight. You've signed a contract that will state in one of those clauses, this fight is really under the jurisdiction of New York State Athletic Commission, and if this fight is sanctioned, the fight goes ahead. So if Dalton Smith pulls out, he loses his position with the WBC, which he's not going to. He's fighting. But it's a really strange one. I believe ostarine is a man-made substance. I don't think it's something that can be a contamination through food, which does exist. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, I think this is a one that's kind of bemused a lot of people. But we are where we are. If the WBC say sorry, we have to sit in line with the New York State Athletic Commission, and the New York State Athletic Commission say sorry, these are our rules. The fight goes on.
Just want to round off on Eddie. Are you insecure?
I didn't think so. I mean, maybe when I was about 15, but yeah. Um, I've seen the stuff coming backwards and forth. I mean, I would probably, if I was, I think the reality is trying to put myself, I mean, I can't put myself in a position because I'd never fail like that. But if I was Donald Ducked, if my business was down the pan, if all my fighters wanted to leave me, I would sit there in a strategy meeting. You can imagine the strategy. Have a go at Eddie Hearn. Do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of honoured in a way. I'm not going to give them the oxygen or the airtime. I think the proof will be in the pudding of our shows and our schedule coming up. And again, I won't go too deep into the fighters that are now calling me who would like to leave him as well. But um, yeah, as I said, I think the best way to leave it is my thoughts are with him, and hopefully he can pull through.
Well, Eddie, it's a good place to end this interview. I appreciate your time. Obviously, enjoy the rest of your time there in Monaco. Hope everything goes well, and I'm sure I'll catch you back soon. Thank you for speaking to me in Boxing News.
Cheers, Anne. Take care, mate.